Donald Trump is showing very clear signs of decline, and while much of the mainstream media hesitates to acknowledge it, the truth is hard to ignore. His speeches, his movements, even his attempts to walk or answer basic questions are increasingly difficult for him, and as we'll see today, those struggles are becoming harder for his team to cover up. What we witnessed at the White House recently is just the latest example, Trump appearing unsteady, while press staff, including Carolyn Leavitt, rushed to redirect attention and spin the story. But the reality is that his physical health and memory issues are becoming more obvious by the day. Before we break it all down, if you're finding this coverage valuable, please take a second to hit the like button, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. It goes a long way in supporting the work we do here. Now, let's start with Donald Trump's memory lapses. When asked about Melissa Hortman, his response revealed just how much he is struggling to recall even the most basic details.
In retrospect, given all of the moving ways that this White House has paid tribute to Charlie Kirk, do you think it would have been fitting to lower the flags to have staff when Melissa Hortman, the Minnesota House Speaker, was gunned down by an assassin as well?
I'm not familiar. The
Minnesota House Speaker, a Democrat, who was assassinated this summer.
Well, if the governor had asked me to do that, I would have done that. But the governor of Minnesota didn't ask me. I didn't. I wouldn't have thought of that, but I would have if somebody had asked me. People make requests for the lowering of flag, and oftentimes you have to say no because it would be a lot of lowering. The flag would never be up. Had the governor of Minnesota asked me to do that, I would have done that gladly.
Of course, the man trying to exploit Charlie Kirk's death for every ounce of political gain possible does not care about a Democratic lawmaker who was attacked in her own home simply because she is a Democrat. Donald Trump does not care. This is the same person who has threatened to withhold disaster relief from so-called blue states, ignoring not only the fact that millions of his own supporters live in those states, but more importantly, that people are people, regardless of how they vote. That's the kind of disregard we're talking about here. So what does that tell us? Either Trump's staff, who likely drafted the post about Representative Melissa Hortman, never bothered to tell him the full story because they knew he wouldn't care, or he cared so little that he simply forgot because his memory is slipping. And that's what makes this moment so revealing. Conservatives are quick to shout about political violence and try to pin it all on the left. But when a radical right-wing extremist, someone who openly supported Trump, targeted and attacked a Democratic lawmaker, there was no outrage, no real coverage, no concern. Just look at how little attention Fox News gave it.
School indoctrination. Kerry Lake went off on that. He was in an online apprenticeship program at Dixie Technical College, which I don't think was changed.
I would just note the family said he changed.
But they didn't say when he changed. Yeah. I'm just saying we need more information before you
Charlie
smear.
Kirk at a dinner.
We don't need more information.
Really?
Yes, we don't need it. What is interesting here is why is only this happening on the left and not the right? That's all we need to know. There's absolutely no cognitive...
What about Melissa Hortman that we just talked about?
You want to talk about Melissa Hortman? Did you know her name before it happened? None of us did. None of us were spending every single day talking about Mrs. Hortman. I never heard of her until after she died.
So she doesn't matter?
Don't play that bullshit with me. You know what I'm saying is there was no demonization, amplification about that woman before she died. It was a specific crime against her by somebody who knew her. The same. Now you could bring up Josh Shapiro, but then you will not bring up, for example, that was a pro-Palestine person. So don't use your. What about this? The fact of the matter is the both sides argument not only doesn't fly. We don't care. We don't care about your both sides argument. That shit is dead. For one,
it is a sickness that these people have. And I hate to speak in those terms right now in the moment that we're in, but it's very, very difficult for Greg Gutfeld to tell me that I need to lower the temperature as his colleague Jesse Waters calls for a civil war. And Brian Kilmeade says that we need to euthanize homeless people. It's very difficult for that cast of to tell me it is my fault or it is your fault when not only have we condemned political violence and every action that has happened. I remember doing it very loudly on January 6th, and you all moved on from that, but we've done it in our lives, in our actions, and how we vote against the poll policy failure that is the epidemic of gun violence, which clearly the host at Fox, they don't seem to care about. These people don't care. They refuse to acknowledge anything that breaks with their fake worldview. And one of those things is Donald Trump's clearly deteriorating health, which the White House is now freaking out over because this stumbly, bumbly video has caught a lot of people's eyes. White House calls Trump's wildly veering walk perfect. President Donald Trump appeared to veer widely as he attempted to make a short walk to board Air Force One ahead of his British state visit. The president, 79, was heading from Marine One to his presidential plane at Joint Base Andrews on Tuesday, when he began diverging to the left as the First Lady Melania Trump charted a straight path. POTUS, whose ankles, hands, and face have been in the spotlight, went so far off in one direction at one point that Melania disappeared out of shot as news cameras followed Trump's movements. He made it up the steps and into the plane, stopping briefly for a fist pump and a few signature pointing gestures. White House Firebrand Comms Chief Stephen Chung sent a foul-mouthed response when approached for comment about Trump's walk. "You must be effing blind or stupid because that was a perfect walk." He told the Daily Beast it is the third time in recent weeks his wobbly walk has been captured and capturing attention with his zigzagging dash. Across the red carpet he rolled out for Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska last month, coming just days before a video appeared to show the president struggling to move his legs with any fluidity during a golf trip. During the outing alongside former Major League Baseball pitcher Roger Clemens and his son Casey at Trump National Golf Club in Virginia, the president appeared to drag his right leg behind him as he moved. "He's dragging that right leg again, and he can't walk in a straight line," Ben Milas of Midas Touch said, reviewing the video. It comes as commentators continually scrutinize the president's health, reoccurring bruising on his right hand and a recent droopy face on show during a 9/11 memorial last week, have done little to silence the critics. Despite persistent speculation, the White House has consistently maintained that there is no cause for concern. Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt previously waved off the bruising on Trump's hand as minor soft tissue irritation caused by frequent handshaking in the use of aspirin, which is taken as part of a standard cardiovascular prevention regime. It comes after Trump was diagnosed with chronic venous insufficiency, an issue which occurs when leg veins don't allow blood to flow back up to the heart, causing it to pull in the lower limbs. It's not just the physical signs of decline. Donald Trump is visibly struggling both in how he walks and in how he speaks. Yet the mainstream media has grown so numb to his lapses that they dismiss them as just Trump being Trump. That's a dangerous standard. It reveals a deeper problem in how politics is covered. When even the smallest liberal or progressive account online can be blown up by the right as if it represents the entire left, while Trump can openly escalate tensions, at one point even declaring hostility toward Chicago, and still be framed as anti-war. This double standard is exactly why Republicans feel emboldened to push dangerous narratives about transgender Americans. Recent FBI reporting indicates that the alleged attacker in the Charlie Kirk case had a partner who is transgender. That partner, however, was shocked and horrified by what happened, had no role in supporting the violence, and is now fully cooperating with law enforcement. Yet, instead of acknowledging that reality, Republicans are attacking the entire trans community, using this tragedy to amplify bigotry. We've seen prominent figures like Nancy Mace take to the floor of Congress with hostile rhetoric, openly questioning the humanity of transgender people and calling for their erasure. But when it turned out the attacker was not trans at all, suddenly the narrative shifted. The hypocrisy is blatant. And here's the bigger issue. The mainstream media often allows Republicans to frame these narratives without challenge, letting harmful generalizations take hold while ignoring the truth. That cannot continue. Thankfully, there are leaders like Senator Chris Murphy who are pushing back and speaking clearly about what's really happening in moments like this. And that perspective is something we need to highlight right now.
The shooting of Charlie Kirk could have been a line in the sand for this country. It was a tragedy that could have led the whole country to come together to do whatever is necessary to confront and stamp out political violence. But President Trump, predictably, and his allies, they've chosen a different route, and we need to talk about the seriousness of what might be coming in this country. First, let's be clear. There have been attacks on both Democrats and Republicans. The attackers have been radicalized by both the right and the left. But Trump and his anti-democratic, small d, allies, they see an opportunity to exploit the murder of Charlie Kirk and use it as an excuse to destroy his political opposition. I want to show you some of the rhetoric that's been ramping up from Trump lieutenants. Here's Stephen Miller the other night.
I think Senator Murphy is speaking to this moment in a powerful way. And I also want to recall a clip I shared the other day of a pastor who was stunned that so many people were willing to overlook the harmful words and divisive rhetoric spread by Charlie Kirk, choosing instead to eulogize him without acknowledging the damage he caused. The reality is this. No matter what new details come out, one fact remains the same. Political violence in this country has always been condemned and opposed by the left. In contrast, under Donald Trump, it has been mocked, encouraged, and fueled by the right. Those who spread hate contribute directly to the climate of violence we face every single day, and that truth does not change. I refuse to be silenced or pressured into acting as though we should quietly honor someone who built a career out of targeting Black Americans, trans people, and immigrants simply for existing. If you want to talk about political violence, look at what Donald Trump's policies and rhetoric have done to immigrant communities on a daily basis. This is not a case of this isn't who we are. This is who we are right now. But some of us want to change that. And that's why I will continue to talk about it every single day on this channel. If you want to support that work, please hit the subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you made it this far, drop a blue heart in the comments, and until next time, I will see you soon.